Alright guys, so here today we're going to be looking at our 2017 opponents. Now I know this was released a while back and most of you probably know who they are if you're obviously a hardcore fan. But this is interesting. Obviously this is actually really obviously we have a London game this upcoming season, which sucks. So they're taking another home game away from us, like they did 2 seasons ago with the Jets. And at least it's not a divisional game like it was last year. I was so upset when they did that to us, playing a quote-unquote a home game in London. That's not a home game. Anyway, they should at least, I don't know how they would do that, because both teams would have to be road game. It's just a weird, but I'm sure they could have figured it out some way. But anyway. So we're going to go through the home opponents, and we'll go with the away opponents first. So away, we're going to get the Kansas City Chiefs, and the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously one of the better teams in the NFL. Their defense carries that football team. Andy Reid, obviously a great football mind. It's really tough. They're really talented defensive, obviously front 7 with D Ford, Justin Houston, Tom Bahali, and depending who they keep, Dontari Poe, Eric Berry. We don't know who the full roster is going to be, but still very talented defense, very hard to run against. Obviously, their offense, the master of the West Coast offense, basically, that offense is getting the ball getting Travis Kelce, stopping Travis Kelce as a whole ordeal. Hopefully, we have the linebacker situation fixed, because that is going to be a tough game, especially on the road at Arrowhead. That is going to be a very tough football game to win, and it's going to be interesting. And I cannot wait for this upcoming draft. It's gonna be awesome. Next, we have the San Diego Chargers, or the LA Chargers now. They're not the San Diego Chargers. So that'll be in LA, which is always a cross-country trip. It's tough. Obviously, Phillip Rivers, that offense, depending on how healthy they are, we'll see. But their offense is very prolific. Their defense, not so much. Again, their defense is not as good, obviously not as good as their offense, kind of weak. Their front 7 is okay. Obviously, you got, if Melvin Ingram leaves, they'll basically only have Joey Bosa. They've got decent players like Corey Legent. They have Casey Hayward still in the secondary. So their defense is not that tough. Their offense is what you really have to worry about, especially on the road. Phillip Rivers is obviously a Hall of Fame quarterback. If that offense is healthy with Keenan Allen, Melvin Gordon, it's going to be very tough to stop. Obviously, they have Hunter Henry, who's arose as this franchise tight end for them. So that's going to be a tough game on the road. But we play the Chargers every single year, seems like. Obviously, one of the last 4 or 5 seasons we've played them. So it's either we blow them out or they blow us out. But I think we are a better football team than the Chargers, and hopefully we improve over this offseason. So next on the list is the Atlanta Falcons. Now, this is obviously a very tough game because of who we're playing. Obviously, that offense is probably one of the more prolific offenses in NFL history, and that defense is improving. Obviously, you have people like Vic Beasley, Deion Jones, Keanu Neal, Ricardo Allen's playing really well. They have a very, very good young defense. But filled with playmakers on that defense. And then on the offense, I mean, who do you stop? Tyler Gabriel, Julio Jones, Hooper arose as a big weapon for them. Obviously, Devontae Freeman, Telvin Coleman coming out of the backfield. It's such a hard offense to stop, and that is going to be a tough game, especially on the road in the new Georgia Dome. That's going to be a very, very tough game to win. That's interesting. So far, the away schedule is pretty tough. We got San Diego, or LA is not that tough of a game. Kansas City is a very tough game up in Arrowhead, and obviously the Atlanta Falcons, who are in the Super Bowl, that's going to be a tougher game to win. So yeah, and then next we have the Carolina Panthers on the road. So this is a special game to me because my brother's team is the Carolina Panthers, so it's going to be interesting for me to watch. But on the road, obviously Cam Newton, we've struggled against mobile quarterbacks. Again, a lot of that has to do with our linebackers. Hopefully we fix that problem. But that's going to be a tough matchup as our roster stands right now against the Carolina Panthers. Obviously they're very heavy run the ball down your throat type of football team, which sets everything else up. If you let Cam get outside of the pocket, some of those speed option, triple option type plays, it's very hard to stop their offense. You got Greg Olsen on play action. You got Kelvin Benjamin, he's a very good receiver. They have Devin Funchess. They have some really good weapons up there in Carolina. So their offensive line is really what destroyed them. So hopefully their offensive line is still terrible. We can take advantage of that with a very good defensive line. Who knows? We might pick up a really good defensive end of the draft. Who knows what's going to happen? And last is the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Baltimore Ravens, we have struggled against because there's been a matchup issue, and mainly that's because of our linebackers. The quick passing game has really killed us. They really abused the middle of the field last time we played them. They used the run game a couple years, or 3 years ago we played them, which was a big game. So this game, hopefully we have those things fixed by the time we play them again. It's always tough, especially going up to Baltimore. That's going to be a tough game. Yeah, especially our offensive line has struggled against their defensive line. Ryan has struggled against that defense in the past. He's actually, I mean, if you think about it, if you look at the whole career, his whole career against that defense, especially the one, I'm getting off track here, but you get what I'm saying. So that's going to be a tough game. I'm sure they'll schedule that in December like they always do, or either that or November. We'll see. It's probably going to be November or December. They usually schedule that game for November, December. So that's going to be a tough road game, I'm guessing, towards the end of the season. Hopefully we have our things fixed by then. I would have said the same thing to you guys last season, but hopefully we fix the problems that we really hurt us last year. And the good thing about this roster is we have a lot of young talent on this roster, so we don't have to overdo it, if you know what I mean, in free agency. We don't have to get a ton of free agents. There's a lot of holes a lot of question marks were answered, is what I mean. Okay, so going to the home opponents. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, they took one of our home games away because they were like, oh, let's go to London, because that's so fun to do. The London people need to watch football too. So we're gonna have the Saints. I guess we'll start there. We're gonna have the Saints in London. That's gonna be tough. One of the most prolific offenses in the NFL, scoring upwards of 30 points a game, with Michael Thomas, Willie Snead, and Brandon Cooks. The running backs aren't that impressive, but they still get the job done with Melvin Ingram and Tim Hightower. So it's obviously Drew Brees is Drew Brees. It's going to be a very tough game. Hopefully we have, like I said, some of those linebacker issues sorted out. And I think this game is in October, if I'm not mistaken. So that's going to be a tough game in London, a long trip. But obviously we can take advantage of that defense with Adam Gase's offense. So that's going to be an interesting matchup. And I swear, I don't know why. It's just a terrible idea. That's all I have to say. London games suck, especially if you have to play one. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are next. That's gonna be a fun one. The Battle of Florida. That's gonna be a very fun game. We got Jameis Winston coming down here. His offensive line has struggled in the past. He struggles about getting the ball out quick. He's one of the best quarterbacks in throwing on the run. He's very mobile. He's not very fast, but he's mobile. They have a talented offense with Mike Evans and down there with Doug Martin. We'll see if Doug Martin's even going to be a Buccaneer after this season. But they have a very talented receiver core. It's not super talented. It's not as talented, let's say, as the Saints. But obviously, Mike Evans, Jameis Winston have been one of the better duos in the NFL over these past years. Their defense is where it really has won them a lot of games last season, especially against Drew Brees. They held one of the best offenses to, I think, 14 points or something like that. I can't remember how many points it actually was. But that defense is very good with Gerald McCoy, Levante David. They got Vernon Hargreaves, who they just got out of Florida, and they got Brent Grimes. I would love to beat Brent Grimes. That would be amazing. I know a lot of Dolphins fans. I don't like Brent Grimes. I just don't like Brent Grimes. And the next game, and I can't. He scarred me. That's all I'm gonna say. The next game on the home list is the Denver Broncos. This is an interesting game. The Denver Broncos, obviously one of the better defenses in the NFL, and Vance Joseph just took them over. So that's very interesting. Adam Gase, Vance Joseph had one of the reasons he hired him is they have had a little bit of a rivalry over the years. So this is going to be a very interesting game. If they figure out that quarterback position and that offensive line, and the offensive line isn't even that much of an overhaul, and the running back position, which I think they have talent there, they're sort of just injured. But if they figure out the quarterback position, a lot of people are like, oh, Trevor Siemian's okay. I don't think he's a franchise quarterback. I don't think he's anything special. He had two of the best, in my opinion, probably the best receiver duo in the NFL, Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas. Still couldn't get it done on offense. It is what it is. I can't wait to play him. That's going to be a very good game, especially since we got him at home. Excuse me. That's going to be a very, very fun game. Obviously, getting past Aqib Talib, Chris Harris, Von Miller, that's going to be a tough task. Brandon Marshall. Depends how healthy that Broncos defense. Obviously, T.J. Ward, Darian Stewart. top 2 defense in the NFL. It's not going to be easy, but we do have them at home, and hopefully we do fix some of the linebacker issues. Hopefully the O-line's healthy for that game, and that's gonna be a fun game, especially since Vance is taking over as head coach over there. So the next game is the Oakland Raiders. Now the Oakland Raiders defense needs some help. I think they need to add a couple more pieces to that defense, and then I think it's still going to be weak after the season. But obviously, where the Raiders are really good at is the offense. Now that defense did start to kind of figure it out towards late to mid-season, but I still think talent-wise, it's not the most talented. Obviously, they have Khalil Mack, who's by far their best player, maybe on the whole football team. They have people like Carl Joseph, who they just took in the draft. They got some people there. David Amerson's probably their best cornerback. Yeah, so I don't know. I just think it's a very weak defense. Their offense is very good. Obviously, Michael Crabtree, Amari Cooper, almost forgot Amari Cooper's name. They have that three-headed monster in the backfield. Latavius Murray's their starting running back, obviously. And Walford, tight end. They got James Olawale at fullback. They got some interesting, a lot of talented people on that football team. Jack Del Rio is pretty good. He did a pretty good job of obviously he did an amazing job coaching, taking the Raiders out of purgatory, reviving that franchise. So that's going to be an interesting game. I'm glad that we have them at home. Hopefully we can rekindle an old school 70s rivalry between the Miami Dolphins and the Oakland Raiders. That would be awesome. Hopefully we can meet them in the playoffs. I think that gives you chills right there. But the next game and the final game, I think, seems like, I don't know, I think we did them all, is the Tennessee Titans. Now, the Tennessee Titans, we have struggled with. A lot of that has to do with offensive. Well, this past year when we played them, it was offensive line issues because our offensive line was decimated with injury. I hate people talking like, oh, injuries. It was true, and obviously we could not stop the run. Our linebackers got punished that game, and that set up everything else off. Play action. Delaney Walker straight ended our lives. Okay, Delaney Walker had an amazing game. Seems like every touchdown anybody ever scored on us was with a tight end. So every tight end we played, I don't care what his name is, if you're crapping Jermaine Gresham 50 years out of your prime, apparently you can have 100 yards receiving on us. I know that's not how much he had, but he still had a pretty good game against us. So hopefully we have the things fixed by the time we play the Tennessee Titans. In review, overall, I think the road schedule is a little hard. I think it's hard. Excuse me. The home schedule is I think it's favorable. I don't think it's extremely hard. I know we're a playoff team, don't forget. And I think if we improve, we can get even better than just a playoff team. It's going to be interesting. Obviously, the Baltimore Ravens on the road, that's tough. The LA Chargers, probably the weakest game on the road schedule. At home, they took a home game away from us with the Saints. That's going to be a little bit tough. But overall, I think we're fine. Because you never know. Like, if you remember looking at I remember thinking, oh, we're doomed. The first 4 games is going to end us. And we saw what happened. So everybody thought we had one of the hardest schedules last season. This season, you don't know, because you don't know who's going to be bad and who's not. Nobody can ever predict these kinds of things. So that is going to be it, guys. I am Skagster83, and I will see you guys in the next one.